Assalamu alaikum. And with us today, we have Raoof Hasan Sahab. Raoof Hasan is the Central Information Secretary for Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf. Sir, thank you so much for giving us your time today.
Such a pleasure. Thank you very much for having me. Very kind.
Sir, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey with PTI, how you're doing before we move on with this interview.
Well, thank you for that. I have been part of this team since before Imran Khan put together Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf. My association with him stretches back to almost 3.5 decades. I've known him as a human being. I've known him as a politician. I've known him as a leader, and I've known him as a visionary, an idea man, basically. Who has thought of doing good to this country and to the people who live here, unfortunately, under appalling circumstances, which are getting worse with the passage of time. Um, I've been working with the party in various capacities ever since it was created. But when he became the Prime Minister, for a while I was the Special Assistant to the Prime Minister, looking after the strategic communication part of it. And I'm now been given the charge of Secretary Information, and I'm trying to do my best. The common bond that we share is Pakistan, like I'm sure we share with you also, everybody else who's working, who's associated, and our common mission is to do everything possible to get this country out of the stranglehold, out of the morass, basically, that it has been stuck in for the last 75 years. Moving from bad to worse. I never thought that this would be the fate of my country. I've lived here for all the years that I've been in this world, and I still don't intend to leave. Though there are many people who say, "What are you doing here?" But I think more the circumstances become challenging, the more is the will to tackle them rather than running away, rather than moving away. So, in a few words, that's me. I share his dream. I share his vision. I'm with him, and I will do anything that will help my country.
And we're indebted to you, sir.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. So, moving on to our the current situation in Pakistan, we feel like we had been hearing that the assemblies would dissolve perhaps after the budget was passed, and then there would be elections. From what it looks like, that what they're trying to do is to disband the party, ban the party, definitely in any case remove Imran Khan, from the picture, either have him jailed, in what, or just disqualified, or however, just kind of to give what they call a level playing field for a criminal, an absconding criminal. If that were to happen, what is the party's strategy?
Well, let me just go back a little. What is the strategy that they pursued or they have pursued since dismantling Imran Khan's government? It was a three-pronged strategy. It has been actually a three-pronged strategy. First, they tried to eliminate him politically, neutralize him politically. They were not able to do it. Not only that, Khan's ratings, went up, and out of the 37 by-elections which were held, we won 30. So that was a landslide. So they tried. Unfortunately, they were not, fortunately for the country and unfortunately for them, they were not able to do it. The second prong of the strategy was to eliminate him physically. There was an assassination attempt. Now we understand that there were more, which were either aborted or they did not succeed. So that was the second prong of the strategy. The third is what we are undergoing now, which is trying to get Khan implicated in some kind of cases, like this May 9 thing, and have him disqualified from taking part in the elections, and have the party also kind of, disqualified. More stress is on the former, which is on the person of the Prime Minister, on the person of Imran Khan. So now I come to the question, basically. So having failed at neutralizing him, at countering him, at either of the three prongs that I've talked about, basically, they are still adamant that they will do it. Khan has over 180 cases registered against him now, and all over the country, and virtually more than a dozen cities of the country. So he's moving from court to court to court. They feel that, they will be able to catch him in one of those things and have him, as I said, disqualified. The problem for them, as which I have actually cited in a number of my interactions with the media, is that it's him and his person that controls the people of the country. It's him and his person, people respect and regard and their faith in. So even if he's disqualified, that will possibly increase his popularity rather than decrease his popularity. And this is exactly what we witnessed in the last 2 months. Ever since May 9, there has been a reaction by people, and his ratings, which were around 65 or so around that time, have now shot up to almost 80%. So, the more they try to suppress him, the more they try to corner him, the more they try to neutralize him, the more people respond in his favor. So that phenomenon possibly is going to continue. And I think even if he's kept out personally and the party is allowed to take part in the elections, as you said, maybe the prospect, I think it's going to be a landslide for the party. It is going to be a landslide for PTI. His personal presence, physical presence, may not be necessary, in the sense, that he may be behind bars and he may not be able to, come and interact with his people. And yet I strongly feel that it will not make a difference. It will not make an iota of difference, to his performance at the hustings. I feel that it's a landslide, and it's a landslide either way. If he's there, fine. If he's not there, even then it's going to be a landslide for him. And this is, in fact, what haunts the opposition, what the people in the government at this moment in time, because, like you talked about, the level playing field, and level playing field for them is to create conditions, for absconder, for a convict and absconder, so that he can become the prime minister again. And that, I think, will remain a dream with them. I don't think there's any possibility. If, however, they stretch things, beyond a certain point, I have always talked about the prospect of violence breaking out on the streets. And I hope and pray that it does not happen. A bit of it happened on May 9, and we are still suffering the consequences of that. I don't think Khan has ever preached violence. Always, whenever he has spoken to his people, he has talked about peaceful demonstrations, peaceful right to protest, peaceful right to voice our feelings. But whatever happened on May 9 is not what should be replicated. Absolutely. Consequently, a rational approach, a sane approach is expected from both sides. Like, while we are on course, we say that we want to move into elections, free, fair, and transparent elections. I think it's the people in government, they should pay heed to that, and they should not cross the limits, so as to provoke people into any bit of violence.
Actually, I love that you mentioned the free and fair election, and those of us who have been monitoring, who've been the victims of this, I would call us the victims of this government. We all know that the elections, if and when they happen, will not be free and fair. We do expect some pre-poll rigging, the post-poll rigging, the during the polls, just like, the RES machines breaking down like in 2018 and that kind of stuff. As a party, have we thought about involving or talking about trying to involve impartial, maybe foreign election monitors to come, like, from the United Nations or European Union or somewhere, to come and monitor the elections?
Well, there was a statement made by the European Union about a week ago, in which they said, we usually receive an invitation from the Election Commission of Pakistan and the government of Pakistan 3 months in advance of holding of any election. They said, we have not received any invitation yet. And they said, that it may not be possible for us any longer to send our observers group. And they said, we may be able to send a small delegation, but for that also, they said, we need to seek permissions from the relevant quarters, and he said, that there are going to be difficulties. So the government's intentions are very clear. Obviously, you see, they do not want elections to be observed because they have intentions, which will not be justified by these observers. For us to make an effort to involve these people, of course we can do it, and I think we will. But I think this is going to become a legal matter if elections are rigged, which we are sure they will be. Even the by-elections that I've talked about that PTI swept, I think they were also rigged. They had they had said, that PTI would not have a margin of more than 10,000 votes. So they had made accommodation for that, But, even then we won by 20, 30, 35, 40,000 votes margin. So the majority, PTI majority, is absolutely massive, and I think it has increased with the passage of time. So rigging the elections, first of all, is going to be difficult, but you must have read about the 73 amendments, which they want to make in the Election Act 2017. We're still looking at it, and we're seeing exactly what is the intent. The intent is, of course, very clear, that they want to manipulate rules, regulations, procedures, everything to rig the elections. So we're looking at these latest set of amendments that they want to make to the Election Act 2017. It's, as I said, 73 in number. And we will see what we can do, because we don't have a presence in the National Assembly. We have a presence in the Senate, so we will try to voice it from the floor of the Senate. But they have a majority in the sense that there is virtually no opposition, so they'll be able to push through these amendments. In case they're able to do that, which they will, I think, then it becomes a legal matter. We can take them to a court of law. But unfortunately, like we have seen in the last few months, judiciary possibly has also wilted under pressure, and we don't expect much, from that pillar of the state also. So it's a battle. It's a raging battle, basically, and I think this battle is going to go on. But then there are post-election options, that any party has, which of course we will make full use of. We will definitely not let any option go untried. But when the mindset has been corrupted to a point, when they're determined, when all pillars of the state are together, are united in doing something, which is not guaranteed, which is not sort of allowed by the Constitution and the rule of law and the justice system, etc. I think there are limited responses, that any political party can come up with. Even in the last election, for example, we had issues, but we went to the relevant fora, and all those fora, they refused to listen to our plea, and in the process, time passed, and here is the time for the next election. So it's a sad situation, Saman. It's a very difficult situation, and it's a very sad situation. When pillars of the state, when institutions of the state are liquidated. And this is, in fact, what all criminal rulers do before doing anything else. Because you see, if the institutions remain functional, if they remain transparent, if they remain, if they continue working according to the diktats contained in the Constitution, then there is little that the government can do in terms of hijacking the system. But unfortunately, here there has been a willful attempt to liquidate the institutions, and they have succeeded in doing it, including the judiciary. Consequently, there is little option, or the few options, that PTI or any other political party may have. But we shall try all of them. We will not let any option go, squandered.
Absolutely. Thank you. And once again, you've led me right into my final question, actually, of the night. We're talking about the system, a system that has been systematically broken, a country that has its institutions like in the hands of these two extremely powerful, extremely corrupt two families. It's almost like termite that's just gone right into the very pillars of what our country is, be it the bureaucracy, be it law enforcement, whatever it may be. Inshallah, Khan Saab will come back into power. Our fight is against the entire corrupt system. Our fight is for justice to prevail, for law and order to be the same for everybody. But on the other hand, our economy is a mess. It's like complete, name one thing in the country that's actually working the way it should be. And we'd be, I think, hard pressed to do that. Where do you think Khan Sahab and you guys, your team's priorities are going to lie once, inshallah, you're back in power? I mean, what is it that when you have an election manifesto, what would we be looking at?
Someone, it's $1 million question. I wish I had easy answers to it, but it's a long haul. It's a massive challenge. The system in this country has not delivered, of course, but that is only one side of the story. The better side of the story, the system has been corrupted to a point where it stinks. And Khan Sahib has very stated clearly on a number of occasions that I shall not take over unless I have a decisive mandate, which means a two-third majority.
Yes.
And why does he say that? He says that because he wants to completely overhaul the system. It's not a question of, a cancer patient cannot be administered or cured with Panadols or Disprins. A cancer patient has to go through a massive, I'm speaking from personal experience. I'm a cancer survivor, so I know exactly what I went through for a period of 4 years to be still there. Yes, this country has cancerous problems, and the system has to be completely overhauled. We passed the stage of Panadols and Disprins, well past the stage of Panadols, and that can only come about by having a different mindset. Totally different mindset. And mindsets, someone you would understand, don't change overnight.
Absolutely.
You have to work for a long time to, for example, make people in this country start paying their taxes, like make people in this country to obey the green light and the red light or the lane discipline. These are very small things that I'm talking about, but they reflect the way, the kind of people we have become. Completely insensitive to rules, regulations, laws. And why is that so? It is so because the leaders who have come to rule this country, they've never obeyed the laws. I remember about 15 years ago, Nawaz Sharif was paying 500 rupees as his income tax. 500 rupees. It is part of Pakistan's history. They don't pay. If people, why is it that a poor man who buys a Suzuki has to pay the same duty as a rich man who buys an Audi or a BMW or a Mercedes? Why is it that the state does not make rules and regulations, to solve the problems of the poor people? And this is another aspect of Khan's person that, touches me, that kind of attracts me. Whenever, for example, we would discuss something, he would always come up with this query: what is the poor man going to get out of this? His focus was on delivery to the poor people. COVID, for example, when the whole world was saying, come, clamp down, shut down the country, he was one voice. He said, I am not going to shut down the country because my poor people would not be able to survive. Against opposition from within the country, people called him, with all kind of names and all that. He said he's going to destroy it. He stuck by his conviction that I'm not going to make my poor people suffer more. And he stuck it out. And Pakistan, in the end, turned out to be one of the best performing countries against the onslaught of COVID. So, when you work by convictions, and when your convictions are rooted in compassion, and when your convictions are rooted in deliverance to the people, when your convictions are rooted in doing something good. I'm in cancer hospital, for example, Shaukat Khanum Cancer Hospital. As I said, I'm a cancer survivor. Well, I was, Dr. Faisal is the one who actually diagnosed my cancer, but he said that I go abroad because those days, the initial days of the Shaukat Khanum, and they did not have adequate facilities to treat my kind of cancer. So, I went abroad. But Odd Namal University, for that matter, has anyone, cite me a leader, someone who has done something for this country in his personal capacity other than Khan? He has always given to this country. He's never taken anything from this country, and yet there are over 180 cases against him. Where is justice? Where is justice? A person who has an unblemished track record, whatever he did, wherever he went, he was a role model. And in his own country, he's going from court to court to court to court against those frivolous, fake, and fraudulent cases, which have been instituted against him. It's not just a question of his person. He's just one man. What are we doing to this country? Where do we want to take it? It's a time, I just, this is my last piece, which was published yesterday, actually. It said Pakistan needs a healing touch. It's we have a lacerating wound here, and we're making it worse with the passage of time. We need to heal it. And those people who are sitting at the helm of affairs today, I think it's time for them to look back, take a step back and introspect. Where are they headed? Where is the country headed? Where are they pushing the country to? So, the system is a mess, but it is not going to be done. I mean, the remedial process is not going to be confined to days or weeks. It's a long haul. And I think at the end of the day, all sort of credible forces will have to get together, put their heads together and see exactly where is it that and how is it that we can actually take this country forward. It's going to be one massive, massive effort, a multi-pronged effort, which will have to be initiated and which must continue. It must be sustained over a long period of time to get this country out of the mess that it is in at this moment in time. And it's not just me saying this. More and more people I talk to end up saying the same thing. A large number of people have left this country in the last 1 year. There was a brain drain back in the 70s. There's another brain drain, which is occurring now as we talk. When you eliminate the middle class, what happens? The leadership goes out. My children don't want to stay here, which is the fate. Which is the case with so many of my friends and their families. They don't want to stay here. People who wanted to come back after education, they are not willing to come back. So whichever way you look at it, Saman, it's a country, which has been deprived of hope. We live in fear. And this again is a subject that I've covered in this article. Fear and hope cannot coexist. You have to eliminate fear. You have to embrace hope. You have to give hope to the people of this country. And I think it is Khan who reflects and represents that hope. There's nobody else. I can't find anybody around. Much that I would look, I can't find anybody else around. We have to bring back voices of sanity. We have to bring back voices of hope. We desperately need it, Saman. We desperately need it.
Absolutely. And then the state propaganda machine that we have, that is constantly, putting that fear, those hopelessness, the messages of hopelessness amongst the masses, this is going to happen. Like, there is no way you can win this because these guys seem to have all the power. And that is what there are a few brave voices that are absolutely not just patriotic, but passionate about the cause, passionate about the country, who are standing there firm despite huge threats to your life, to the families. And this country owes you, Rosa. We all owe you. Leaders like you. Thank you. And thank you for standing by Khan Sahab.
I owe this country a lot. I am here because of this country. I shall stand by the country.
We salute you. Thank you so much for your time, Raoof Sahab. Thank you.